Okay, I'll start with the Human Cell Atlas Asia, which has been a long coming efforts for the past 2-3 years, in fact. I just want to acknowledge people here, Piero and myself, Unyang and Sonyang from South Korea, Sham and Ram from Singapore have been really spearheading a lot of these efforts along with many other supporters from the region. So the idea really was to propel collaboration within the region to not only understand genetic diversity, but also the impact of the environment and so on. So we held our first HCA Asia meeting in Okinawa. If you guys haven't been there, I recommend you to visit. It's the Hawaii of Japan. And we had very first meeting. You can see Piero getting very active here in discussions to get together with Japan, South Korea, India, Singapore, and really it was to first attempt to create awareness of HCA in the region. We had a lot of exciting kickoff discussions, brainstorm collaboration ideas, and just to build relationships here. And some of the topics involved how we can, what are the common relevant diseases that we can tackle? What are some of the challenges in sampling and domestic ethics that are facing? What are some of the technologies that we can share and some funding situations? So it was really the first of these meetings, but we kind of came up with some summary in the end and some agreement or some understanding that we do recognize the importance of synergizing our efforts here in the region. It doesn't really make sense since there are a lot of commonality that we can share. So hopefully we'll synergize and induce more collaborations. We want to have a visible representation of Asian contributions to the Human Cell Atlas, as well as leadership in some of the tissues or technologies. We also want to look at common and relevant tissues, as well as diseases that may be impactful to the society here in this part of the world. So we decided at that time to propose an interim organization committee, really just to harmonize the activities, information sharing, and plan additional annual meetings so that we can continue these discussions for Human Cell Atlas in Asia. So for that, we then had our second meeting, which Unyang will talk about.
Okay, second meeting was held in the Jeju Island, another island in Korea, last November. So we invited some China and also Australia for discussion, and then there's some 120 scientists attended the meeting, and then to discuss about the next step for the first meeting. And also, so in the case we tried to extract that some common project in different countries together. So we designed the project. Also, we leveraged that the funding from the government each country. So after the meeting that we just in Korea, we started the 10 million the funding from the government, so maybe quite lucky for us to engage this kind of the meeting.
All right, and putting all of this together, we realized in the HCA Asia that we really need some pilot project that brings a bunch of countries together. So we decided to start with Jay and Wongyang and Singapore. And the first question we wanted to ask was, if you do a human cell atlas, but if you do it in a different country, will you get different results, right? It was really about population differences. Are Asians different from Westerners? Can you see that in the blood transcriptome? That was our question. And then Singapore has a unique multi-ethnic population, so we thought in one place in one site you can profile different population groups. So that was a big advantage. But of course, then you really want to expand it and bring in samples from other countries as well, or do multi-site analysis, and then do it across many individuals. And then we expanded out to all of these other things we could look at. So Jay suggested enhancer RNAs and epigenetic analysis based on that, environmental differences, and then we decided to look at sex differences and genetic differences, so EQTLs. So really the scope expanded quite a bit, and then TCR-seq and BCR-seq and so on. All of these things you can do in one project. But really the heart of this was to say, how does geography or population group affect what you see in these transcriptomes? And so we're starting with a small pilot project, and then we'll scale up. And then it's not intended to be just these 3 countries. We're actively looking for participation from a larger group of countries as well. Finally, the 3rd HCA Asia meeting will be in Singapore, November 10th and 11th this year. Hope a lot of you, or all of you, can make it. If you haven't been to Singapore, it's a beautiful place and a fun place to visit. So the idea of the 3rd HCA meeting will be to, mirroring the more global HCA effort, to turn all of these ideas into concrete projects and teams and start generating data and sharing data together. Thank you.
So we can take 1 or 2 questions. Thanks for keeping on time. Any questions? Okay, great. So we'll move to thank you for the clear presentation. We'll move to the presentation about HCA in China from Guoji.